Hello, this is Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers. And today is the 11th of July 2023, and it's a Tuesday. And I felt I was going to go home, and I thought, no, I want to start this new journey with the Spanish language. Now, I have tackled it already in Series 1 of Languages and Culture, French and Spanish, but I'm going to call this Series 1 for Spanish. And I intend to learn Spanish as I go along, because I must confess, I have never done Spanish before. I don't have much contact with Spanish people, except I've met a few people lately, and they'll be able to help me with my pronunciation of the language. And I believe that I have enough credential here to help myself learn a new language like Spanish, because I still think that it can be done. So let's see if I can do it and if I can reach my goal. Now, before I even start, I just want to say that a lot of the work that I've done for languages, already for Italian and French, and a bit of the Spanish too, it relates to the 9 parts of speech and the 4 language skills. Under that umbrella there, I am going to actually tackle Spanish. Now, I don't know much about Spain. I haven't been there yet. I would have loved to have gone, but, you know, things work the way they do. I've been away. I never got a chance to actually visit Spain. Never mind. It might happen after this. Well, let's hope. Now, you can see I've decided to have a new costume for this because that's how I identify what I'm doing. So let's start. What about a little bit of an introduction to Spain? Spain is part of the Iberian Peninsula, which is that part of Europe that looks like a bit of a square. And Spain and Portugal are next to each other, and they've never really fought any wars. They've been on friendly terms from the very beginning. So we must remember that the Iberian Peninsula is a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. And Spain itself apparently has, could be wrong, but I have to check this out, has 17 regions. So each one, of course, has its own history and its own cultural development. And Spain itself had been a part of the Roman Empire in the past, and you know the Greeks before that, and the Phoenicians. So in other words, it's been in the thick of ancient history in terms of Europe. Okay, so let me see if I can read now. Will I read the regions? Not yet. Not yet. So I think that's about it for now. At the moment, you know, the capital of Spain is, of course, Madrid, and the Prime Minister is, I'm not sure whether I should, well, they've got a Prime Minister and also a king. It's actually a monarchy. It became a republic or a dictatorship under Franco, and then returned to its historical monarchy situation. So Spain is a monarchy, and there is King Felipe VI of Spain. He's the king. Now, as I said, you know, if I make mistakes, please forgive. It's okay. I'm just going to, you know, to enjoy this, relax, and I'm going to start. How do I start? I'll start with a very important literary work from Spain. And it's 5:35. I've started at 5:30, and we will go till, my situation is always 5 minutes my introduction, and then 1 hour we do Spanish, and we stop wherever. So today I've chosen very easy things to do for myself. So I'll start with a reading of Spanish. Now, the pronunciation might not be all there, but I'll try it and see how we go. This is the story of course, Don Quixote de la Mancha. And I've got here sort of a summary of, the first chapter. I've got a couple of books on Don Quixote, and, it's really quite an interesting story. Again, I've heard of it in small parts, but I don't really know the story. So here, what better to do than to do it in the language? Okay? ¿Quién era Don Quixote? En un lugar de la Mancha, España, vivía un hidalgo. Tenía en su casa una ama que pasaba de los 40 años de edad y una sobrina que no llegaba a los 20. La edad de nuestro hidalgo frisaba con los 50 años. Era de complexión recia, seco de carnes, enjuto de rostro, gran madrugador y amigo de la casa. Tenía el sobrenombre de Quillada o Quisada. En esto hay alguna diferencia entre los autores que escriben de este caso. Pero esto importa poco a nuestro cuento. Es de saber que este caballero, los ratos que estaba ocioso, que eran los más del año, se daba a leer libros de caballería con tanta afición que poco a poco perdía el juicio. En efecto, remataba y ya su yucio vino a dar en el más extraño pensamiento que jamás dio loco en el mundo. Fue que le pareció convenible y necesario, así para el aumento de su honra como para el servicio de su patria, hacerse caballero andante, pues debía irse por todo el mundo con sus armas y caballo a buscar aventuras y a ejercitarse en todo aquello que él había leído que los caballeros andantes se exercitaban deshaciendo todo género de agravio. Now, have I understood that? No. But I've been able to read it, and I understand quite a lot of the words, but I don't really, I need to translate that. Okay? I'm not going to do it now, but there are some questions here that we might be able to work out. Preguntas, these are the questions. ¿Dónde vivía el hidalgo? Hidalgo apparently is a farmer, someone who lives in the countryside. ¿Cuántos años tenía su ama? So his servant, I suppose. How old was she? ¿Cuántos años tenía su sobrina? There's a young girl, I suppose. ¿Cuántos años tenía nuestro hidalgo? How old was he? Describa el hidalgo. So I understood that the ama was around 40, 40 years old. Sobrina around the 20s, and hidalgo, he was about 50. Describe al hidalgo, I'm not going to do that. ¿Qué sobrenombre tenía? What was his name? Whatever. They used to call him Quijada o Quisada. Cuando estaba ocioso, ¿qué se daba a leer? Well, con tanto leer, with so much reading, che perdía poco a poco, anche pensamiento vino a dar, siendo caballero andante por donde debía irse, que debía buscar, que debía deshacer. So that's the first lot. Now, you know, there are some words here that we can go through. Hidalgo is a gentleman or a nobleman. Okay, ama is a housekeeper. No, elegaba was not yet. So, en un lugar de La Mancha, España, vivía un hidalgo. In a place of La Mancha, in Spain, there lived a gentleman. He had in his house a housekeeper who was just over 40 years old, and the young girl, the sobrina, cannot sobrina. Now, the sobrina in this particular book, which I have here at the Insegna, sobrina, niece. Yeah, his niece was just over 20 years old. Okay, that's the book here. I have a few copies. If anyone wants to, you know, purchase them, they're most welcome to go to my insegna.com and, you know, read along with me. This is going to be quite a journey because I don't know the language. I'm going to struggle along. That's the name of the game. How do you struggle when you're learning a language? We do. You've got to remember it first as well. Maybe, I have to keep in. I had to take off my jacket, and it's cold. Never mind. Okay, now I was looking at, let's say, en un lugar, vivía un hidalgo. You remember the 9 parts of speech? Noun, adjective, and verb are the most important ones. Then we've got the article. And there are 2 types of articles, the definite and indefinite article. Okay, so let's have a look at, let's say, following my trail of thought. Nouns. Now I've got here essential grammar, okay? Nouns in Spanish are either masculine or feminine, just like Italian and French. Nouns denoting males are masculine, as are most nouns ending in O. The masculine nouns end in O. It's a generic explanation. So all words ending in O generally are masculine in Spanish. Nouns denoting females or feminine they end in A. So O for the masculine, A for the feminine. There's no neuter. They are the masculine or feminine. And of course the females are feminine and the males, but then things like table, the inanimate objects, they take on a masculine or feminine role. So, for example, Tio, uncle, vaso is a glass, tia, aunt, playa is the beach. Cuando caliente el sol. I mentioned the word playa in the song. The plural is formed by adding S if the word ends in a vowel, and ES if it ends in a consonant. So whether it's feminine or masculine, the ending of the words take on this sort of this situation here. For the plural, peseta is pesetas, train is trenes. So peseta, pesetas. The I, and if it was an O, we still would add an S, and if it ends in a consonant, you add ES. That's pretty easy, really. Definite article. El before a masculine singular noun, el banco, the bank. Los bancos, Los, L and los. L for the singular, los for the plural. La for the singular, la peseta, las pesetas, las pesetas. The indefinite article I or N in English, un before a masculine singular noun, un banco, or una peseta before a masculine, a feminine singular noun. Now, the same thing happens with the adjective. They sort of have, they follow the rules of the nouns and the articles that got together. So if you want to say el banco, yellow, whatever, negro, blanco. Adjectives agree in number and gender with the noun, basically. Those ending in O change to A in the feminine. Fresco and changes to fresca. And then frescos, frescas in the plural. Those ending in E, and most of those ending in a consonant, are the same in the masculine and feminine. So if a word ends in E, it's the same. El coche grande, la casa grande. So those ending in E and most of those ending in A, consonant, are the same in the masculine and the feminine. So el coche grande, la casa grande. The plural is formed by adding S if the word ends in a vowel, ES if it ends in a consonant. From fresco, frescos. Azul, blue, azules in the plural. The comparative and superlative are formed by putting mas before the adjective. So that's a bit extra. Mas, un hotel barato, a cheap hotel, un hotel más barato, so più grande. El hotel más barato de la ciudad, of the city, the cheapest hotel in the town. We're going to stop there for that. That's enough for one day. So that's the essential grammar that you need to remember. Now, when we looked at Quien era Don Quixote, let's have a look, for example. Let's have a look at the words. Un lugar. Lugar, I didn't know what un lugar, I'm assuming lugar is a place. But I'm going to look at it here. It's at the back of the book, of this particular book. There is also a little dictionary. So if we look up, say, lugar, lugar is a place. It's a place. So, en un lugar, in a place de la Mancha, de la Mancha, in España, vivía, lived a gentleman. He had en su casa, in his house. Frank Mazzasca, welcome. Una ama, a housekeeper, que pasaba de los 40 años, that passed 40 years old. She was over 40 years old. De edad, of age. Y una sobrina que legaba a los 20. So, and a sobrina, which is his niece, que legaba. Legaba was not yet 20 years old. So the actual, if you get this book here, we can have fun together. Order it. And a few other too. I've got some other textbooks here for Spanish, and but we can start with this one here. Quien era Don Quixote? Who was Don Quixote? And that's one of the first great stories in literature, in European literature. And I also have here, but I'm not going to sell it, Don Quixote de la Mancha, there. That's the advantage of having a bookshop. It's beautiful. It's in English too. It's got how Don Quixote came to be. In this book here says, many years ago, in a little village in that part of Spain called La Mancha, there lived a man named Alonso Quixada. To most people, Alonso Quixada seemed quite ordinary. He was a quiet, long-legged, skinny man with a dignified beard and a moustache which were turning grey, too shy to have married when the time was right. He lived alone in his house and was comfortable enough on the rent from a bit of farmland he owned. So you can see that when you're actually reading the story, then whoever writes a story about Don Quixote, they say he lived alone. Well, he had a housekeeper, and he also had his niece, according to this other book. Does it matter? It's, the story will develop anyway. So that's Don Quixote, and then Don Quixote can give us a lot of words. Now, un hidalgo, un lugar, a place, un hidalgo, su casa, la casa, the house, una ama, a housekeeper, una ama, a housekeeper, que pasaba los 40 años, 40 years old. And notice 40, the adjective comes, the adjective, the actual number is in this case an adjective, and you put it before the year. Los 40 años. Yo soy los, etc. De edad, of age, de edad, of. So the is of. Edad y una sobrina. La edad de nuestro hidalgo, la edad, the age of our gentleman, okay, frisaba, bordered con los 50. So he was around 50 years old, bordered on, he must be 48, 49, 50. He bordered, it may be 51. Era de compresión recia. So he had a strong constitution. Tough, a bit like me, huh? Seco de carnes, lean. He must have worked very hard. Lean, enjuto de rostro. Enjuto de rostro, so lean, enjuto, thin-faced. Gran madrugador, early riser, y amigo de la casa. So he was a friend of, he liked to go hunting. How am I managing? Okay, Frank, notice that, see? Este caso. Pero esto importa poco en nuestro cuento. But all this doesn't matter because I want to tell you the story. That's what he's saying. All these details don't really matter. Yes, but they do matter because you get an idea who Don Quixote really was. Tenía el sobrenombre de Criado Quisada. So his sobrenombre, his namesake was Criado Quisada. En esta hay alguna diferencia entre los autores que escriben de este caso. En esto hay. I don't know that one. Okay, so I think we've done enough there with Don Quixote de la Mancha. Maybe I'll translate it, I'll see how I go. But this is the idea now, is to write down the words. Now, before my next lesson, I would have written the words of all these, all the words in this first capítulo 1. Okay, and then, I can do, by having the words, I'll be able to also then work out the adjectives and what goes with what. So that's that. Now, these are the two things that I've done. I think I deserve here a song which I've learned in my previous attempts at Spanish, okay? And this one here is called Historia de un Amor, which I know very well by now. So I'm going to sing it to you. I'm going to make myself, a happy person by singing it. So, here we go. Historia de un amor. Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón, y en el alma solo tengo soledad. y si ya no puedo verte, porque Dios me hizo quererte para hacerme sufrir más. Siempre fuiste la razón de mi existir, adorarte para mí fue religión. En tus besos concentraba el calor que me brindabas, el amor y la pasión. Es la historia de un amor como no hay otro igual, que me hizo comprender todo el bien, todo el mal, que le dio luz a mi vida, apagándola después. Ay, qué vida tan obscura, si tu amor no viviré. Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón, y en el alma solo tengo soledad. Y si ya no puedo verte, porque Dios me hizo quererte para hacerme sufrir más. Es la historia de un amor como no hay otro igual, que me hizo comprender todo el bien, todo el mal, que le dio luz a mi vida, apagándola después. Ay, qué vida tan obscura, si tu amor no viviré. Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón, y en el alma solo tengo soledad, y si ya no puedo verte, porque Dios me hizo quererte para hacerme sufrir más, sufrir más, sufrir más. Well, that's a nice interlude. Now, again, with this song here, I'm going to extract from it for the next lesson. I'm going to extract the words. I'm going to say, okay, what does ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón? In el alma. See that? El alma. The word ends in A, but the actual article is el, is masculine. So there's some exceptions in Spanish. Ya si ya no puedo ver, porque Dios me hizo para hacerme sufrir más. En tus besos, again, you know, siempre fuiste la razón, the reason, la razón. Adorarte mi fue religión, la religión. If it went I-O-N, I think it's in the feminine. And tus besos, besos is the kisses, besos, los besos, it's plural, is los besos. El calor, calor, in this case, because it's got EL in front, is a masculine word. Y la pasión is feminine. So you can extract the words out of it. And what you do here, then, you have a little exercise book, which you call, you know, your own, you're learning Spanish. You don't have to go very far. You can follow Tom Padula and see where it gets you. But if you have someone who speaks Spanish and will listen to you reading, now that's where you get your pronunciation. And I've asked, you know, in my dancing, I got to the Italian clubs to dance, and there's a Spanish guy there, and you know, I said, do you mind if I read in Spanish to you? Because I want to check my pronunciation. So you need other people, because language is for other. But language is not just to talk to other people. Language makes us access the culture of the country. Now, I've learned this week that Spanish is the second most spoken, used language in the world after Chinese. And English comes third. So there you are. Look at this. I have ignored it as a language teacher. I've always been busy, but now I have a bit of time, and I thought, no, let me have a look, because I also have relatives in, you know, from way back in South America. And at the moment I'm watching Bolivar on Netflix. Bolivar, what a beautiful, wonderful. Maria Licatesi is in Sicily, Corallo. Ciao, Maria. So I'm watching Bolivar su Netflix. Bellissima storia, the beautiful history of the independence, how the South American countries like Venezuela, Chile acquired their independence thanks to this guy, Bolivar. Okay, so that's this one here. Now we're going to go to, let's have a look. Whenever you learn a language, of course, the most important thing is to learn the numbers as well. And I've got them here in front of me, so I'm going to read you 1 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then keep going like that. Okay? So that's it. Here too, I've got here some, how to use the pronunciation of Spanish. Pronunciation. The letters K and W occur in Spanish only in words of foreign origin. The consonant example, bueno, blanco, bastante. We won't do this one here today. Hello, Angela Imola. Welcome. So I am starting, I've done the numbers. Now I will do some simple questions. Here are some useful words and phrases which you will need in all kinds of situations. Sí. No. Yes and no. Sí and no in Spanish. Por favor. Gracias. Please. Gracias. Please. Gracias. Thank you. Por favor. Gracias. Buenos días. Buenos días. Good morning. Adios, which are all words we know, even if we don't speak Spanish. Lo siento. Lo siento. I'm sorry. I wouldn't have expected that. Lo siento. Perdone. Excuse me. Perdone. Lo siento. I'm sorry. Perdone. Señor. Mr. Señora. Mrs. Señorita. Miss. We know this one. Señor, in the films that we watched, that's what you get. And some simple questions. How much? Cuánto? 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 Why? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Which one? ¿Cuál? Is ¿cuál? I'm going to get a cold today. It's too cold in here, but anyway. Where is ¿Dónde está? Where is? ¿Dónde está María? ¿Dónde está María? María es in Sicilia. When? Quando? Quando? Anna Maria Gargura's Ham is watching as well. Getting a few people here. Okay. Quando, don't forget, when I finish, I'll put this on as part of my new journey into Spanish. And I'll put it on in my insegna.com blog section and also on YouTube. But that's going to take a bit of time before I put those on as well. Okay, and don't forget that, I've got technicians here that I have to pay for, so please order my books from wherever you are. If you want to learn Spanish, I've got a few. Say, what do you think? All you need to do, at least have the books that I'm using in front of you so that you can do the course, basically. Now, I can't guarantee that I've got all these, but, I know that Don Quixote de la Mancha I have. So if anyone orders them for now, I've got those ones and you can have them as well. Okay. Where is ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? When, cuando. Notice how much is cuánto, but when is cuando. Difference. ¿Tiene usted, have you? ¿Tiene usted un libro? El libro. Do you have a book? ¿Tiene usted el libro? Isso hay el libro. There. Hay, there. So you have to, you have to keep this in mind. Some simple statements. I am. Soy o estoy. Soy a casa, a ma casa. I'm at my place. Soy a ma casa. I have, tengo un libro. Tengo un, let's see if I have something else apart from a book. What can we have? Libro de ejercicio, what can we have? Let me see. Tengo many things. What can you have? Tengo una señorita. Tengo una señora, etc. Okay. It is, es o está. Es blue, es rojo. No. Red, whatever. You have to learn the actual, and remember the actual colors. I've done them before. It is here. Está aquí. Now that aquí will appear in my next song. It is here. Está allí. So está aquí, está allí. I've never seen Ali before. This one, este, estai. That one, ese o aquel. I would like, me gustaría. El cibo. Me gustaría, what me gustaría? Me gustaría una tortilla. Me gustaría un jamón, ham. Me gustaría pasteles, the cakes. Me gustaría hamburguesa. So you can, if you got the words there, you can actually work this on. And I think I've got this one here, getting started in Spanish as well. Simple phrases and how to say them. So this one here, you could order. I'm not sure about this particular one, but I know for sure about La Mancha. Okay, so that's that. 6:07. I still got another, 25 minutes, which is good. All right, so that's enough for the language, let's say. Let's do Storia della letteratura spagnola. No, we don't do that. El Cid, we've done El Cid. Let's have a look, just to bring you in. This is España. Here, have a look. That's Spain, that's Portugal there. And these are the regions of Spain. See, Jerez, Marbella, Malaga, Granada, Almeria, Murcia, Albacete. I don't know whether those are the cities. La Real, Murcia, Valencia. It's got Valencia. Valencia is actually It's actually a town, but it's also the region. There you are, Murcia. It's got Albacete, and so even if we just get the hang of it, looking up the Spanish regions, which I'm doing from a book, but really I can actually then go to maps of Spain. I've got another, and I'll show you what happens. See that? I've just looked it up. And look, there. Spain, a country in Europe, Iberian Peninsula, including 17 autonomous regions with diverse geography and culture. Capital city Madrid is home to whatever. You get Madrid is home to the Royal Palace and Prado Museum, house in works by European masters. Segovia has a medieval castle, the Alcazar, and an intact Roman aqueduct. Catalonia, capital Barcelona, is defined by Antoni Gaudi's whimsical modernist landmarks like the Sagrada Familia Church. Now that's beautiful. What about, go back, Tom. So there you are. So there's a lot here, but I was looking for the actual Spain. No, too late. Yeah, it's no good. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's go to ourselves. Let's go now. That's Valencia, Castillon, Aragon. Look, these are regions that are pretty well known, really. Catalonia is over here. Then Castellón, Aragon is over here. Stilla, I never heard of that one. Segovia Vieja. Salamanca, no. Well, there are also islands there. The Canary Islands, okay. And there's another lot of islands as well. Palma de Mallorca here. Ibiza, very famous for the, they have a lot of fun there with music. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to me. Cultura y civilización. What about the Edad Antigua antes de Cristo? Años 20,000 years ago to 5,000 years. Arte rupestre, pinturas en las cuevas de Altamira. So in the Altamira caves, consideradas las más antiguas del mundo. They say the oldest pintura in the caves. They obviously don't know about Aboriginal art, which goes back 50,000 years. 60,000. Anyway, siglos, the years, the 15th to the 10th centuries, not centuries, 15,000 years to 10,000 years ago. Los iberos entran por el norte de África y se establecen en la península, and they established themselves in Spain. In 1101 year before the birth of Christ, los Fenicios fundan, the Phoenicians founded Cádiz, primera fecha histórica de España, the first settlement in Spain. In the 9th century before Christ, primera invasión de los celtas por el sur de Francia. So the French came to upset the people who already lived in Spain. 750 to 500 years, florecimiento del imperio indígena de Tartessos. So there was an empire, the Tartessos. I've never heard of this one. They flourished, the empire. So in other words, there was someone in charge of the whole lot. Lost the 660, then the Carthaginians from North Africa established themselves in Ibiza, in the island, so very close to Spain. 600, segunda invasión celta, the second invasion. Los griegos fundan colonias como Ampurias. Los griegos, segunda invasión celta. I don't know whether Celta is Celtic or it's still from the Carthaginians. Celta, don't know, Celta. Let me have a look. That's the advantage of these books. They've got the actual little dictionary at the back, so you can look it up. Celta, Celtic, I was right. So the second, the first invasion was from the Carthaginians. The second one was from the Vikings, the Celts, from, parts of England, the north, Scotland, from the English lands anyway. Los griegos fundan colonias. They founded colonies como in Ampurias. Los carthagines destruyen el imperio Tartesio in 500. So the Tartessian Empire, the local, if you like, the local indigenous people were overcome by the Carthaginians. Escultura la dama la más importante de los iberos. Escultura la dama de Elche must be a sculpture that is the most important of the Iberian Peninsula. 264, 146, these are the Guerras Punicas. These are the Punic Wars between Rome and the Carthaginians. And of course, there were 3 Punic Wars, and the Carthaginians eventually lost, and Carthage, the actual city, was razed to the ground, and salt was put on it so that nothing else would grow. That's sort of, the story. 237 to 18, los Carthagines conquistan casi toda la península. So that was 264, but here we got 237 to 18. The Carthaginians conquered casi toda la península, almost all of the peninsula. Asdrubal funda la capital en Cartago Nova in Cartagena in 228. Hannibal sitia y conquista Sagunto. So Hannibal comes from North Africa. So the Punic Wars was till 146. So it was only the last Punic War that the Carthaginians really lost. So it was 146. So before that, the Carthaginians were very strong and good naval power in the Mediterranean Sea. Hannibal, in 218, Hannibal lega por tierra a Italia, pero los romanos entran en España por mar. So whilst Hannibal is going to Italy via the Alps, the Romans went to Spain via the sea. So Hannibal, as he moved along, he thought he might have conquered whatever, but he didn't, because the Romans were behind and in front of him. Los Romanos destroy. So in 146, the Romans destroy Cartago Nova, the new Carthage, y conquistan Sagunto, and they conquer Sagunto, fin de la dominación cartaginese. So, and they put an end to the Carthaginians' domination. 133, caída de Numancia. Numancia falls. César nombrado pretor de España. Caesar, in 60, before Christ, is the Praetorian, is the leader, is the general in Spain. How are we going for time? Good. Después de Cristo, we're going to stop there. That's a chronology of the Spanish from the very beginning. Of course, there's a lot more that one can do to actually learn more about the early part of Spanish history, which I'm going to do. Let me sing this. I needed to sing now, otherwise. Cuando caliente el sol. probably need a jacket as well, apart from this. Too cold. Quando caliente il sol. Don't forget, you can also access the words to these songs from your Google or Chrome or Safari or anywhere else, as long as you got them. Cuando caliente el sol aquí en la playa, siento tu cuerpo vibrar cerca de mí. Es tu palpitar, es tu cara, es tu pelo, son tus besos, me estremezco cuando calienta el sol. Cuando calienta el sol aquí en la playa, siento tu cuerpo vibrar cerca de mí. Es tu palpitar, tu recuerdo, mi locura, mi delirio, me estremezco cuando calienta el sol. Love me with all your heart, that's all I want, love. Love me with all your heart, or not at all. Just promise me this, that you give me all your kisses every summer, every winter, every fall. Cuando calienta el sol, cuando calienta el sol. May I add, I also will give you all my kisses, even in spring. Okay? So that's the way it is. That song there, it's got the two, but the music makes this particular song, Cuando caliente el sol, when the sun is going down, sunset. I've got other songs as well, but today I'm going to, within a storia di un amor, and then next week I'll have a couple more from the Italian singers. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we've done the chronology. We've done we've done the word. We haven't done the words. Have we done any words? No. And we could technically do what we technically do. Well, what could we technically do? I suppose we could do, yeah, weights and measures. No, I'm looking for, I know what I'm looking for, the colors. Colors in Spanish. Negro is black. Blanco is white. Gris is grey. Color arena is beige. Marron, brown. Amarillo, yellow, amarillo. Naranja, orange. Rojo, red. Rosa, pink. Violeta, violet. Azul, blue. Verde, green. Oro, gold. Plata, silver. Oscuro, dark. E claro, light. Nice. Slow connection, they say. Oh well, never mind. Now, the other thing too that we could do some more words, but the most important ones is the days of the week, which you have to learn. Okay? Lunes, martes, miércoles, miércoles, not miércoles, miércoles, the I. Miércoles, jueves, Thursday, viernes, Friday, sábado, Saturday, domingo, Sunday. Do you remember these now? Lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. So the word, my work from last year is coming handy. Now, the actual seasons, la primavera, el verano, el otoño, el invierno. Do I remember that? La primavera, el verano, l'otoño, el invierno. Yes, no, not el invierno, el invierno, el invierno, el invierno. What about now? Where are they? Huh? Months, the months of the year. Enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, julio, like Julio Iglesias, julio, like Julio Caesar. That's where it comes from. Agosto, that's Augustus, again, Roman Empire. Agosto, settembre, ottobre, novembre, dicembre. So enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio. Julio, agosto, settembre, ottobre, novembre, dicembre. There you are. Beautiful, huh? And we've done the numbers before. But what about, we also did last year, to be, I am, you are, etc. You can say it two ways. Yo soy, tú eres, él es, ella es, usted es. Nosotros somos, vosotros sois, ellos son, ellas son, ustedes son. And the other way is, yo estoy, tú estás, él está, ella está, usted está, nosotros estamos, vosotros estáis, ellos están, ellas están, ustedes están. Y tengo soledad. You remember that? I have. Tengo, tener. Yo tengo, tú tienes, él tiene, o ella tiene, usted tiene, nosotros tenemos, vosotros tenéis, ellos tienen, o ellas tienen, ustedes tienen. So these are the verbs which are very important. Hablar, to speak. Yo hablo, tú hablas, él habla, ella habla, usted habla. And nosotros hablamos, vosotros habláis, ellos hablan, o ellas hablan, o ustedes hablan. So the verbs now will allow us to write some sentences. And that's what we'll do next time. So, because I'm going to, remember, I'm going to follow my teachings of the 9 parts of speech and the 4 language skills in order to conquer Spanish. Very important that I do. So, which are the language skills? Listening, then reading at alta voce, in a loud voice. Then what do we have? Writing. And finally, speaking. The speaking part is final, unless we then get one of those plays, little play, and you can, I've got here, this one here, Siete Piezas Faciles, this book here. It's also got some songs here, Palomita Blanco, but I don't know the music, so I want to just read something to you. Here, la Navidad Mexicana. El Nacimiento. This is a religious one, about the beginning. O cambió los tiempos. Okay. Antonina, mira sinforoso, ala bien un automóvil. ¿Quién será? Sinforoso, that's the name of the person, and Antonina, the other one. Acercándose también a la ventana. So it says, ¿Quién será? Mira tú, parece que viene a parar aquí. Pues sí, Antonina says, mira no más, son los sobrinos Cardillos y Marica. Sinforos, pues sí, son, pero, y qué elegantes. ¿Eh? Antonina, de veras, qué elegantes. Carlos y Marica, saliendo, vestidos a lo moderno. Hola, tíos, ¿cómo les va? Tíos, which we learned, is uncle. Remembering the words is important. Getting very cold here. Never mind. Well, that's the idea. And finally, maybe something in English. Spain occupies about 5/6 of the squarish peninsula attached to the southwest Europe. This peninsula, called Iberia, is separated from France by the extremely high Pyrenees Mountains, where the Basques and other mountain peoples live. Off to the west of Spain, running north-south along the Atlantic coast, divided from Spain by natural barriers, is the small but important nation of Portugal. A friend with whom Spain has always lived in peace. That's what this book says, that Spain and Portugal has always lived in peace. At the southern tip of Spain is the gigantic rock of Gibraltar, only 8.5 miles across the straits from Africa, 8.5 kilometers, so very easy to go from Africa to Spain via the Gibraltar. Gibraltar, in ancient times, they're supposed to be two giant statues. Okay. Where in prehistoric times a land bridge once must have existed. So that was, and then I was looking at Gondwana and the supercontinents, what they call the supercontinents. I'll come to them later. There are a few of them, but you can look them up, continents before the actual continents we have now. Okay, Spain also owned two groups of islands. One is the Balearics. Balearics consists of 4 islands, Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza and Formentera in the Mediterranean off Spain's east coast. The other group, the Canary Islands, named after the Latin word for dogs. So canary dog comes from canis in Latin, are 60 miles off the coast of Morocco in the Atlantic. So you got the Canary Islands, and you got the Balearics Islands. One in the Mediterranean, one lot in the Mediterranean, and the Canary Islands are in the Atlantic. That's good to know. Climate. A land of great variety and contrasts. Spain itself averages a mere 500 miles from north to south and slightly less from east to west. Its climate is not always as pleasant as the sunny Spain label seems to imply, but it is certainly warmer than most of Europe. Northern Spain lies where winds from the west coming across the Atlantic bring weather and rainfall from that direction. The Gulf Stream too brushes the Atlantic coast of North Spain, where it merges with the North Atlantic Stream. As a result, Spain gets its weather from the Mediterranean and so has a very short winter and rather hot summer. The rains are irregular. A few large drops for a few hours of a few days of the year may be all that southern Spain gets. Much of the southeast Spain is arid, 10 inches annually, but in the north and west along the Bay of Biscay and the Atlantic rainfall may be as heavy as 66 inches. My fair lady may tell us the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. But this is not true. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. Well, that's it for today. I've enjoyed this today. It's been quite a challenge, and it's lesson one of program one of series one, called Spanish. Just the concentration on Spanish, the language and the culture, and its worldwide reach as well. So I'll bring South America into the game, and all the other areas that the Spaniards have been present since Christopher Columbus. Well, there were some very rough treatment of indigenous people by the Spaniards over the years. Not good. But this is history, whether we like it or not. On that note, I want to say buenas noches to you all, or buenos dias if you're in the other parts of the world. Please connect with me on my TomPadulaTV on YouTube. There's also other parts. You can become, and go down. There's a lot of material that I put up. And, of course, Insegna booksellers. Now, don't forget that it's also insegna.com. You can look up the blogs, programs, the programs in the blogs, but also you can access some of the books that I put on, about 4,000 of them. So there's a lot there that can be ordered, and there are about 20 languages. Italian is the biggest one, but the other languages, I've got books for the learning of those languages. And if, let's say, I get a lot of orders, etc., then I can order more books. Otherwise, not going to chase them up. Okay, on that note, again, from Tom Padula here, from Insegna Booksellers and TomPadulaTV on YouTube. See you. And now I'm going to finish off, and hopefully this particular program will be in your hands. Let's have a look.